There's an audience out there that want to attend events, definitely. But I think my view is an event can't just be for 2 days a year. You know, it's just there, it's gone, we turn up, we go, we're in a, you know, it should live throughout the year.
Do you think the era of mass participation events like Body Power in its peak are gone? Because obviously COVID has decimated the events industry. We've seen the Arnold Sports UK come over and absolute horror show an event, ending with Arnold not turning up because of a contractual payment dispute. I guess there's two questions here. One, running an event of the size of Body Power, you made it look very, very easy because it's clearly not. Do we not have enough good new people coming through that are going to be the next generation of these events? Or are we going to continue to see the pivot like we've seen with you and PerformX, and it's going to be smaller, higher value, more prestigious events aimed at trainers or educators? Are we going to see a complete splitting of this market rather than a resumption of the large participation events?
My view is, and speak to the people, there's still a market that wants a large event there's a consumer audience out there that will attend major events and large events. I think, like, if you look at that first year of the Arnolds, like, they put a lot of money into it, and but the audience, and it's a certain audience that will go to it. I think there'll always be the opportunity to create more niche events and very much more tailored. But yeah, I've got it depends, I think, a lot down to the person. Have they got the right idea? Do they understand the market? Um, I've had a couple of people reach out to me, say, can we speak to you about this because you know the market? And it's that type of thing. At the end of the day, yes, brands will do their own events, but I think we're not a unique industry. Like, fitness isn't unique in many ways. Like, there are mass participation. If it's an enthusiast market, there's an opportunity. I think there's events out there that I feel have been like just copycat type events, and they've not had the right investment, or they don't look right, or as what happened with the Arnold, it wasn't done correctly. But there's an audience out there that want to attend events, definitely. But I think my view is an event can't just be for 2 days a year. You know, it's just there, it's gone, we turn up, we go, we're in a, it should live throughout the year. And that then
Through brand extensions, through coaching, through education, through workshops. Talk me through some of the other things you think a brand should be doing, so it's not just a couple of days every 365.
yeah, well, if you're talking about like an event, you've got an audience, you've generated a large amount. It doesn't matter whether it's, say, from a couple of thousand up to 90,000. And actually, your question earlier just triggered me something of what didn't we do well? We didn't evolve that body power brand to live 360 days a year. And, you know, we had actually all the relationships, all the brands, all the athletes, everything there that from a digital perspective, a membership, all these things. And there was ideas of it, but that could have been harnessed massively, I
What about the
believe.
acquisition of the AMI titles, Muscle and Fitness and Flex, through Body Power? Because that, to me, at the time, struck me as an extension into publishing, into media, into monthly interaction, into daily interaction through social and newsletters. But it didn't seem to quite pan out. Was that a misstep, do you think, in hindsight?
Yeah, I wasn't specifically involved, like, directly in that agreement. I think there was a mindset of that gives us more market awareness. It was almost from a marketing perspective and an awareness of we can, be in these very established, revered magazines. And I think it did work for a small time. That it was once again, oh, they've got the licensing agreement here, they've done that, but it was probably too late if I look at it in hindsight, because the industry was moving on to a different world in many ways. So yes, it helped get the word out there, but yeah, I don't think that was probably the best deal that was done.
just the huge amount of overheads that come with any legacy print brand, and I've been there as well, and know it very well. It's the writing seems to be on the wall in terms of just how people are consuming media. And
Yeah,
you mentioned magazines and fitness magazines to people a little bit younger than us now, and they can't really get their head around it.
yeah, yeah.
Why would you buy a magazine when you can go to Ryan Terry's Instagram page and get
Yeah,
so?
exactly. Or TikTok or in wherever. Yeah, exactly. It's mad, isn't it?
In terms of the other
Makes
brand,
me feel old.
I know. Tell me about it. In terms of the other brand extensions, then, where do you think that you should have focused with Body Power, and where would that knowledge help you inform when you work with clients now in terms of an events business that's looking to have more touch points with its consumers? What are the kind of
Yeah.
non-negotiables you think a brand should be doing?
Well, I think if I look back, one of the products we launched was we did a launch event at the Ritz, and it was client focused, and it was called Body Power 360. As a brand extension, that was focused around companies wanted to have engagement all throughout the year. We were selling to them once, so I was very much saying, how can we work with them monthly? We've got a team. We can do, the digital elements for them, newsletters, email, everything like that, engage them on social media. Did that. And I think within a couple of days of the app, we'd done over 100 grand's worth of business just from the concept and the ethos of what we're trying to do. The problem was the actual activation and execution of that was not done correctly. So I think there's always those elements of people have got ideas. Unless you execute it to a point, it's never going to work how you believe it could. But do you mean from a John? From a
Well,
um,
let me rephrase the question slightly. If you're working in a consultancy capacity now, talking with people who might have an idea for an event or an established events business that's looking to grow, are you consulting with them to say they need to think of themselves as an events business first and foremost? Or is it almost reverse engineering it a little bit and thinking of yourself as a media company or another type of company of which events is just a part of it, obviously a big part? I guess I'm trying to work out the business sense of we're an events company that also tries to reach customers in other points of the year in other ways, or actually we're this company and events is a part of it.
yeah, so there are two parts to that. I'd say there's the people that just want to be an event, and they, whether that's from bringing X person over and delivering that content to Y audience, and they just look at it as this is an event. And actually, you can look at it two ways. One is you create the event, build that up to be, for instance, a hub of the audience you're trying to attract. And off the back of creating the identity and the brand equity, you can then build off the back of it. Um, I think that's one of the ways it can be looked at. When I'm speaking to brands, it's a lot of it, whether it's live events or sort of brand partnerships, is what do you want to achieve? Because if you just want to put an event on, without being disrespectful to the events, it's not ridiculously hard. If you've got a venue, you've got to market to an audience, and potentially, you need some sponsors. It depends what scale you're going at. But if you look at the mass bigger brands, they are media companies. Like, they are a platform that wants to connect this audience with this client, and that's what they stand for. But they've got multiple ways of doing that, from the online webinars and meet it like network meets through to other smaller niche events. So I'd say you've got to nail down what you stand for. Are you, you could go the other way and go, well, actually, we're a media business, and actually, I see it from quite a few, what I'd say, either educators or influencers. I don't really like that term influence, because I think actually a lot of the guys that are really good educators, they influence people through their education. But now they're putting events on. Like, I've had a couple of people reach out to me saying, we've got this community audience. We've done some smaller events, but how do we evolve that to be a bigger national event where we can bring other people in? So they're creating that identity online and then saying, actually, we don't have a human connection. We want to do something. And that's where, there's different things I talk to them about. But yeah, PerformX is a great example, I guess, of creating an event through a concept that resonates with an audience, and then the touch points and additional revenues can come off the back of it once you've built that sort of foundations.
As consumers become more educated about fitness and more knowledgeable, maybe more interested in everything, every aspect of their health and fitness, does it become harder to put on events? Because not only do you have to satisfy a greater level of intelligence, but other things become more important. The venue, they want to be somewhere where they can experience, the architecture. It's not just being about in a huge exhibition hall. Am I on the right track? Is it becoming harder? Are there far more considerations now as to what has to come together to put on a great event?
Think, yeah, I'd say Tobacco Doctor with our venue has been one of the biggest USPs because it stands out. So from that perspective, yes. But if you look at other industries, there are trade shows that are, well, even within fitness, FIBO is huge halls. But I think ultimately a lot of it comes down to, are the right people going to attend, and how you get those people to attend. That ultimately, if you the venue is a nice to have. Probably for us launching as a new brand, I think if we'd have just said it's at the NEC or Olympia, wherever, it wouldn't have had the same impact. But when you walk in there and you've got dedicated rooms where people can own their space and experience, and almost goes back to that pop-up mentality, that's great. It's got the architecture. It feels, to me, it was like, how can we make something feel like the industry is in real life?
Right.
So it definitely adds to it, but I wouldn't say, if you've got a market and you go, there is nothing facilitating our market currently, and you did it in X place and you got the right people there, do those people ultimately care? If they're there for a B2B reason, they want to get the right networks, they want to get the right connections and meet people. So there's that consideration. But I feel from a consumer point of view, the experience is critical. And if you are going to go into a large box, why I don't personally like it. You've got to create something. I think, going back to Gymshark up in Manchester, the venue had a bit of character for their lift event, but I know what the guys did from a build perspective to make it feel unique.
Mm.
And a lot of people don't invest in those features to make the consumer experience brilliant. And then I've walked around, I've seen it in 20 minutes, I'm done. Well, actually, if you create, a vibe, and then with PerformX, we're looking at brand extensions, and if you do something further north in a more traditional setting, how would you still have the cool on trend vibe that is associated probably now to the brand?